All right. What's good, y'all? Welcome to another episode of a Fresh Perspective with Jeff Charles, the live stream. And got another fire guest for you today. But I'm going to make just a couple announcements before we get into the conversation here. Now, as you know, I think I've announced this before, but I am now part of the FCB network, the First Clad Broadcasting. And I now have a brand new podcast that's going to be debuting tomorrow. So tomorrow will be the inaugural episode. I'll be sure to share it. But it's going to be awesome. This will be content that I don't cover on my live stream. So it's going to be brand new, fresh content. So please give that support. I appreciate it. Also, if you want to support my work, you can join my locals.com community. So you can go to afreshperspective.locals.com. It's a monthly subscription. It's only $4.99 per month, and you get access to content that other people don't get for less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks each month. If you want to do a one-time donation, we've got the links. Wrong hand. We got the links right here and also in the show notes. I appreciate anything and everything. And also, I'm able to receive super chats too. So if you see the super chat button down there and you have a burning question for myself or my guest, then hit it up. So without further ado, I am going to bring on Mr. Solomon Graham. He hails from Atlanta, Georgia. And he is the founder of LibreTV, which is awesome, by the way. You guys should check that out. I've been on there once before. They talk about pop culture, and what I love about the show is that they take me away from politics, and I need that more than ever right now. So what's going on, Brother Graham?
Man, I'm chilling, brother. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, doing good, man. It's a good
day.
Yeah.
One thing. I just got to update. And one thing Jeff did forget to talk about. He will be on. Speaking of going outside of politics, he will be on the King of Comics, the Kamikage show, this Saturday at 7 p.m. where we're going to break down the new Mortal Kombat movie and compare them to the old one and the video game characters. So it's gonna be real cool. So if you're into all of that, I'll definitely make sure I shoot the link, and you definitely need to check in on that, because the last time Jeff came to the comic book show, great conversation. So just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, this is going to be fire, because I'm actually going to watch both of the old movies too to compare.
Correct.
And I won't say a whole lot about it, but yeah, I think it's going to be a good conversation. But we are here to talk about immigration, and correct, this won't be the usual immigration conversation that we're used to. And honestly, this is a lot of what we need to be focusing on. Yes, the migrant crisis is important. The southern border issue is a dire emergency. We do need to take care of that. But there are issues with legal immigration as well. And honestly, Solomon told me a little bit about his story, and it just seeing how it screws people over is disgusting. And I think a lot of you will be infuriated by this. So first, can you give us before you get into this story, can you give us kind of some background of the situation?
Yeah. So, just to let y'all know, this is the first time, because, on Twitter, man, I'll just be honest, I don't really like people being in my business. You understand what I'm saying? Because it's like, this is personal. You understand what I'm saying? But I consider Jeff a good friend, and I know he has content that he needs to get out there. But at the same time, you don't want to hear the same story, right? It's certain stories out there that don't make the news because it doesn't fit whatever type of media agendas you might have out there. So here's a little background, right? For those who don't know, my beautiful wife is from the Dominican Republic. She immigrated here legally in 2018. Kids were here and everything on their initial one. I believe it's either K1, K3 visa. Don't quote me on the visa numbers right now, because you can go to the immigration site and look it up and verify anything that I'm saying tonight if you don't believe me. So that's how she came over here, and she brought two of her daughters with her. Right before the pandemic hit in 2019, right before it hit in 2019, they went home, right, just to go visit their family. And after that, their visas expired. So after that, they were not allowed to come back into the country. So even though they have like that first, because it's only a one-time entry. So after that process, you have to put in another visa. And that's the visa that we've been waiting on since 2019, and now it's 2021. So that's the basic background of the story. It's like when you're watching TV and you hear people talk about border separation, they talk about family separations. They show the mothers, right? And I know a lot of conservatives love giving that story about, oh, what type of mother would send their child across the border? And I'm sitting there like, I agree with you. What type of parent would send them on a 1,000-mile journey with just a bag of food and a bottle of water? I agree with you. But then it's a situation where it's like, okay, but if they get here, right, they're allowed entrance. And apparently what the Biden administration says, what? Oh, yeah, they're just, and the same thing Obama said as well. They're supposed to come back to that hearing, but the bottom line is they're here, so the objective is already completed. So I guess that's just the background, and we're going to, we got time, so we can get into the specifics of it. But that's basically the background. The background is it's 2019 when we filed the paperwork. It's 2021. Still no answer. But they had already gotten approved on a temporary visa because of, the marriage paperwork and stuff like that. But outside of that, we're talking about over 2 years for a 6 and an 8-year-old. Like, what is the country doing? So I'll go ahead and get in that. But that's basically just the basic background of the situation.
Right. So just to make sure that we understand. So obviously you got married. Your wife came here legally. They went through the right paperwork with the kids and all that.
Correct.
So when the visa expired, did they have to go back to the Dominican Republic, or had you already traveled back there and then came back and they wouldn't let the kids in? Or
look at it as technically a one-time entry pass, right? So you get to get in the first time, but like if you want to go back home, you pretty much can't leave. You understand what I'm saying? But there's a situation where we kind of thought the process would take 5 to 7 months. Because we wanted they wanted to send them back. They wanted to kind of finish up the school year because they were at a certain school. So they were trying to finish that up. So it was like, we were thinking 5 to 7 months. But here we are 2 years later and we still don't have an answer. To me, that's problematic because why does it take so long? You understand what I'm saying? It's like, for example, and we see this all the time. Another example is a baseball player, right? Yankee scout goes down to the Dominican Republic, sees a great baseball player. It takes a week for him to get a visa. A week. You can go on there right now and you can look like, or if you're an entertainer, let's say, a guy who got he's from the Dominican Republic as well. Have you heard of an artist named Ozuna, right? Have you heard of Ozuna?
I've heard the name. I don't know anything about it.
Well, I don't know I think that was Ozuna on the, if you remember I ain't gonna try to get it. Well, the Cardi B song, I Like It Like That. The guy who comes in and he came in rapping in Spanish and nobody knows what he's saying unless you speak Spanish. But if you don't know the song, I Like It Like That. I believe that's Ozuna. I'm not quite sure. But anyway, if somebody like that is an artist or a musician, takes them a week to get a visa to be able to come to the United States. People say, oh, well, they can't stay. I'm like, it doesn't matter. The bottom line is we're talking about, I just need the entry part to be there because once again, we're talking about a 6 and an 8-year-old who before this time weren't being allowed to go to school, aren't allowed to, start getting education. They need to start learning English. They need to start getting socialized into American culture, but they can't do that because they're waiting on they're waiting on paperwork. It doesn't make any sense.
So let me ask you this. I mean, when you guys first brought the kids to the States, you had to get that K-1 visa or whatever that is.
Correct.
Was that the only way that the kids can come into the country legally, or were there other options you could have done, or did you know, or how does that work?
Well, like the fiance visa is basically like, you bring them in and I believe they come in, it's a K-1 visa, and then they come in under K-3, which basically says because of the marriage that is about to take place, they will get admission into the United States. But like you can go check online and kind of see like what the processing time was. At the time, it was 5.5 to 7 months. You understand what I'm saying? But then it's just like, we can say COVID delayed it, but at the same time, I'm like, it doesn't matter because 2 years is still way too long for processing times to go. And like I said, if you don't believe me, you can go to uscis.gov, go to processing times and see the dates that they're processing. Just type in, the form is I-130, okay? If you look at the processing time for U.S. citizens, and this is something else is going to piss you off, the processing time if you're a U.S. citizen is slower than if you're just a registered permanent resident. Permanent residents get their visas faster than U.S. citizens.
So, I mean, and when you say U.S. citizens, are you talking about somebody who marries a U.S. citizen or somebody?
No. I'm talking about me versus somebody with a green card. Somebody with a green card gets another visa for their family member quicker than I could petition.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh,
yeah. So if you're a permanent resident with a green card, your processing times are quicker than American citizens. And once again, if you don't believe me, go to uscis.gov. And I'm just saying the people in the chat or the people who are going to watch the replay. Because I'm like, I don't have to sit here and try to give nobody no sob story. I don't have to make nothing up. If you don't believe me, whatever. Go to uscis.gov, type in form I-130, and then go to Texas. They got a Texas processing center, Vermont, California, Nebraska. Go to any one of them. I guarantee that if you're a permanent resident and you look at they're under 21, not married, I guarantee you the permanent resident processing time is quicker.
They can get their family over here a lot quicker. Wow.
And it's even, I've seen those take, it could take up to 2 weeks, 2 weeks to 7 months for a permanent resident. And I have nothing against permanent residents. I'm just saying, why is it taking so long for me?
You're a citizen.
I'm a citizen, I'm ex-military, and the fact that they've already been here. Like it shouldn't have took this long, but continue.
So let me ask you this.
Okay.
I mean, you thought it was going to take 5 to 7 months. What was their excuse for it taking? I mean, it still hasn't been resolved. So what are they? I mean, actually walk us through that process of what you guys went through, and even dealing with the government on this.
Okay, so it's like this: you fill out your paperwork, and this form can be done online, right? Mm-hmm. So it's quicker. So it's supposed to be air quote quicker because it's not like okay, like for example, when you do your passport, you got to put all your information together in one of those packets, put in the FedEx form, and send it off to the Dropbox, right? This one you can file online. That's what we did. We filed all the paperwork online. You attach the photos, you attach your evidence or whatever the case may be, documents that show that you are the legal guardians, whatever the case may be, birth certificates. You attach all that stuff online, and it goes into a digital Dropbox, which they can kind of sort of access at any time. So that's basically the process. You fill out all the paperwork, you pay the fees, which was, I believe, either $525 or $575 per visa. You pay that, and then that's pretty much it. So that was basically the first process. So when you ask, what have they said? They haven't said anything. All they'll say is when you go check your status online, they will say this is the most current status we have. It's still all we have on there is that they've received it. We don't have any other information. There's no other information you can get besides the fact of they received the case.
Okay, so I mean, and I'm sure there were phone calls. I mean, when you call them, what do they tell you?
Now let's talk about that phone call system.
Okay,
You have to crack the matrix to talk to a live person.
Like the IRS.
It's like you'll be on there all day trying to talk to a live person if you don't go through the right. You got it. Like I said, it's like I finally figured out how to crack the matrix. Because if I call there and I'm like, I want information on my case, the lady will be like, okay, I can help you with that. What's your case number? And then she'll be like, as of this date, this is the most accurate information. You're like, I want to speak to a representative. They'll be like, okay, great. To get you to the right representative, what are you calling about? And I'll be like, there's an issue with my case. Then she'll respond and say, well, there are some issues that representatives can't handle, but I can help you. What are you calling about? And it'll keep doing that. And then about the third time, it'll be like, I'm sorry I couldn't help you today, but I'm going to end the call now. And that's what you get. Because if you just call and say, I have a problem with my case, or my case is taking too long, you will not be able to speak to a live representative. The only way you can break the matrix is you have to say, I need to change my appointment date.
Okay.
So if you say you can change your appointment date, then you might get switched over to the live side. But if you just really talk about the problem that you have, it won't work.
So, wow. I mean, that sounds just like the IRS, but worse. I mean, that's especially with something as important as immigration. Like you would think they would make it easier to get through to somebody. But one of the reasons why, why I was saying that I believe you, I think my audience is going to believe you because we all know the government sucks at everything. So, I mean, this is surprising, but not surprising.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm assuming at some point you were able to talk to somebody. I mean, what happened then?
Okay, so we've tried multiple ways to speed it up, right? The one way we tried to speed it up was apparently you can kind of sort of skip the line if you claim an emergency, right? So what we did was the kids were staying with her grandmother's got to be pushing 90, right? Okay. So we were like, it's an emergency. The grandmother is 90 years old. She's ill. She can't take care of him anymore. Like, we need to try to get this resolved as quickly as possible so we can go get him. Denied. You know what I mean? They denied like the emergency request. And I'm like, okay, it's like it would have, I don't even know what reason immigration would give why they would grant something a little quicker, but it would basically almost have to be like, unless they were almost being made into children's soldiers, that would pretty much be maybe one of the reasons why the government might grant it. But outside of that, no, because we've tried even getting the emergency part done. Hey, just go ahead and talk for like 2 seconds because I just gotta replug up my Wi-Fi and I don't want it to cut off, so I'm gonna be right back.
Okay.
For like 2 seconds. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, that's cool. So, I mean, the reason I wanted to have Solomon on is because he told me about this a little while ago, and we didn't get too deep into it. But it's important that we know about these things, because if he's going through this, there are other people going through this as well. And so far, and it's not gonna happen. I don't see a reason why there should be this delay. I don't see any excuse for it. And it's just, you've got an American citizen who has family who are immigrants who came here legally, and they're having this much trouble. 2 years. How old are the kids?
I mean, they were 4 and 6 then. They're 6 and 8 now. So yeah, it's like, yeah, it's you know, you missing some really, really quiet. Cause I mean, the little girl is huge now. You know what I mean? Because we'll get to what happened recently, but it's a situation where it's like you're missing those key years, and anybody who knows little children can learn another language in like that quick when they're little. But the older they get, the more difficult that language barrier and that social acceptance. And another thing that I don't want, because like I said, I'm not in a position where I can homeschool just yet, but I don't want them to get some type of special ed, because that's what they normally will do. They'll put them in ESOL and give them a special ed, and they'll start getting reduced workloads because just because they have an English issue with English, then they start putting them in like special ed. So it's like now they're going to be behind in learning and getting that. I don't want that for mine. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not one of those parents who are like, oh yeah, give it to them, make it easier. No, I'm like, no, she need to learn English. If she can't learn English, then that's going to be her fault. She better get to it. I don't want her with no special ed because she's not stupid. She just don't understand. You understand? If you went to China and they set you in a Chinese class, I don't care if you got a PhD. If they sitting in there talking Chinese, you're going to be like, I don't have no idea what they're saying. So that's just the way I look at it.
Yeah. I mean, and these are critical years. So I mean, and so you tried claiming an emergency. Nope. Were there other methods that you tried, or?
I mean, that's pretty much all you got. You have where you can ask for emergency expedite, but the bottom line is they have the paperwork. The bottom line is they have all their paperwork. It's almost to me like let's look at it like a driver's license. Now, I understand it's a little different, but once again, we're talking about a 6 and an 8 year old. What threat could they really pose to the United States? We just got to be honest. So if they had all their medical, all their fingerprints have been done, everything got approved on that first visa, why is it such a difficult process for that first visa just to not really be transferred? And like I said, we're talking about children.
Yeah.
If you want to have a conversation about trying to bring your mom and your whole family over, that's a whole nother conversation, because I can't vouch, or I would even give you the same benefit of the doubt if you were talking about children. But when you start talking about adults, vet, investigate. But what I'm saying is we're talking about, kids who still play with Barbie dolls. Like, they don't pose any threat to the United States at all.
Record. Yeah.
Come on now, what are you researching right now? The only thing you need to verify is that she is the legal guardian. And if she's a legal guardian, what are we waiting on? Because there is nothing that there's no information that you're going to be able to find or research on a 6 or an 8 year old. I'm sorry. No.
Yeah, that's why I say this does not make sense. And you're right. For an adult, this makes sense. They have to. I think 2 years is still a little bit too much, especially if you've married somebody who's there. But
Mhm.
if we're going to have that system, then it should work more smoothly. But for kids, this makes absolutely no sense. I mean, you and your wife are you're married now, right? Or are you still?
Yeah, it'll be 2 years in July.
Okay, yeah. So you guys have been married. There's
Correct.
no reason why this should happen. What about, I mean, have you looked at maybe getting legal representation, like from an immigration lawyer, or have you spoken with
Well,
one?
and see once again, when we talk about the immigration lawyer, we're talking about two different systems, because we
Okay.
have you got to understand, people don't understand, America is a lot more powerful than people think. They don't realize how much capital America has around the world, because that American passport, like, that's the thing, right? When I think about my American passport, like, we don't need visas really to go anywhere. We travel the entire world pretty much. We go wherever we want to go, right?
Yeah, I did.
You want to go to Thailand, you want to go to, it don't matter where you want to go for the most part. I can't think of too many countries where you would need a visa to enter as an American citizen, but it's few. It ain't a lot. I'll put it to you like this. But, like, for example, my wife's Dominican Republic passport, she can go to like Mexico, Colombia, and that's about it. It's only in Cuba. It's like 3 places they can go with that. So it's like, even traveling is something that I think us sometimes as Americans take for granted. But the bottom line to me, and what I'm trying to say, is this: there has to be a way we can fix this system to make it more expedient when we're talking about children. Because the bottom line is, let's go back to the border crisis, the detention centers, all that other stuff, right? They're talking about, oh, we want to process children in 48 hours, right? That's what they've been saying. We want to process children in under 48 hours and get them back to their parents. That's if they did it the wrong way. But you got people trying to do it the legal way. And like you said, I mean, even if it was 5.5 to 7 months, to me, that's too long. If you can approve a baseball player in a week, why is it taking children this long? And we're talking about trying to do it the legal and proper way. It is no benefit. The way I explained this to my friend the other day was, I said, remember when you was in high school, or remember when you was in middle? Let's go back to elementary school. And you was waiting in the cafeteria line, right? So you're waiting in the cafeteria line, and somebody jumps in front of you inside the line. And when he jumps in front of you in the line, the lunch lady says, "Oh, did you break in line?" And he says, "Yes." "Okay, well, you get an extra piece of pizza today because you jumped the line."
Right.
And everybody behind them sitting there saying, but we waited in line and we were quiet and we had our hand over our mouth and we did everything we were supposed to do. Why does he get extra benefits? The lunch lady don't give no explanation. This kind of says, well, that's how it is, or that's how they told us. That's what they told us to do. So it just supposed to work out that way. I don't think it's fair. I also think that there should be some other type of thing. Like, I mean, we talk about, I'm ex-military as well. Like, I've already been through all the channels of American government. You know what I mean? I'm ex-military. I'm an ex-teacher. It's like, ain't nothing else that you can look up on me. You know what I mean? I don't get it. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not necessarily saying that my case is more important than anybody else's. But what I am saying is, if you want to tell me, all the people want to, oh, look at the kids in the cages. Well, them kids probably got to their parents a lot quicker than mine did. So you want me to have sympathy for somebody? We didn't send our kids across the border. You understand what I'm saying? Honestly, if we would have did that, it would have probably been here quicker. And that's sad. Because once again, no incentive to do things the right way when it comes to immigration. So I don't say I don't have sympathy for it, but I get it. You have a better chance of getting in this country, a faster chance of getting in this country, if you just do it the wrong way.
Yeah, I mean, it's a disincentive to do it the right way. So, I mean, parents will send their kids and they say, you know, go through this channel because you'll get in quicker. Let's not figure out a way to get you there legally, because it's less work than just sending your kid up there hoping they survive. I mean, and I get that there's that aspect too. But those kids, I mean, even when the Biden administration is mishandling it, they're still getting placed somewhere within at least 30 days, even though it's supposed to be 24 or 48 hours. So it doesn't make sense. Have you?
Hold on, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to ask you, have you talked to others who are in a similar position, or?
Well, and yeah, I've talked to some people, because like, once you start dealing with this type of stuff, it becomes a little, you become a little bit more tight with the immigrant community. So you kind of start understanding what they go through. And this is something that's been told to me by people who have no paperwork at all. Right. And and this is the one thing you got to, and this is the one thing what I'm trying to make you understand. The reason why they do it illegally is not because they don't respect sovereign law. It's faster. It's completely faster because people are like, well, why don't they just do it the legal way? It takes too long because people are like, oh, well, if you got $5,000 for a coyote, you got $5,000 to do the immigrant. Well, first of all, it doesn't cost $5,000 for the immigration process legally. So they're actually paying more. It's almost like you said, it's like getting into the club, right? You skip the line, you go to VIP, you got to pay the bouncer a little extra. That's what people are doing now. It's illegal. You understand what I'm saying? But they're like, it don't matter because once they get in here, they're not really afraid of being deported. They're not really afraid of going back home. Like that's the main thing that I keep hearing. They don't fear, like a lot of stuff you read on the media is like nonsense. Nobody fears ICE. Nobody fears ICE like that. You understand what I'm saying? The people who fear ICE, yeah. They feel a little something when they out there trying to maybe get a job, but a lot of these people got like regular jobs that they go to. They're not standing outside a Home Depot trying to get some manual day labor job. The people who got like regular jobs and they work a pretty much a normal 9 to 5, man, they not afraid of no ICE coming to their door because they're working. These people are getting paychecks. They're not getting paid under the table. They are getting paychecks from American companies, and it seems to be some sort of symbiotic system where the companies don't care. And of course, the immigrants don't care because they got stable work.
Well, yeah, and I would imagine that the only ones who are really concerned about ICE are people who have committed other crimes when they get here. Because even over the Trump administration, that is mainly who they were targeting anyway. They weren't going for the ones who just get a regular job and, do a 9 to 5 and go home. They were looking for people who were doing extracurricular activities after they got here. Yeah, it's so. I mean, even though you told me this before, it still blows my mind. Like it really doesn't make sense.
No.
Do you know? Well, let me ask you this. I mean, I asked if you had spoken with an attorney. Are there any advocacy groups that deal with this type of thing? I mean, because it's one thing if it's adults, like you said, but when it's kids and you're married and your kids are in a different country and not able to come, that there has to be something that could be done, I would think. But
well, to be honest with you, I would say I don't know, because when it comes to advocacy groups, right? Let's just look at the ones that are in, I guess, more or less in the mainstream, right? If it doesn't fit that certain agenda, right? And then the other thing about it is, we got to be honest, we the wrong color to be trying to ask for any sort of help when it comes to immigration. You know what I mean? Like I'm considered black, not brown. So you don't understand what I'm saying? So it's a little different situation. They trying to help, Jose and Maria. That's what they trying to do. They're not trying to help, especially somebody who is a citizen and bringing somebody else up. That's not really from what I've seen. And I've looked at some of the advocacy groups who say, like, if you're afraid of ICE, call this number or blah, blah. I've seen some of them, and I contact them, see what's going on. They're like, it almost reminds me of kind of sort of like Black Lives Matter, right? Mm-hmm. Black Lives Matter only deals with police brutality for the most part, right? Right. If you say a black soldier got killed over in Afghanistan, or, a fireman died going into a burning building to save somebody, right? Don't make the BLM website, right? Because they're one track, one trick pony pretty much, right? So it's a lot of time with these immigration advocacy groups. Like I said, I haven't researched all of them, so I can't say all of them do the same thing, but the ones that I've seen that seem to have the ability to move some needles, the ones that are paying for immigration lawyers to go into the detention centers and get some of these kids out of there with paperwork, yeah. They're going to the detention centers. They're not going to the consulate in the Dominican Republic to make sure this paperwork is filled out. From what I've seen, it's all they're focused on illegal, not legal immigration, because it's like if you're doing it legally, it's like they want you to pay for it. But at the end of the day, they can't move paperwork any faster than anybody else. It's just like a lawyer, right? If you have a lawyer take care of your case, you have a trial date. Whatever date your trial is, your lawyer can show up and represent for you, but it's not like he can just say, okay, I'm gonna go in front of the judge tomorrow. nah, you got to still wait until
Right.
the proper channel. So yeah, no advocacy groups from what I know. If somebody knows, or somebody in the chat, or if anybody watching this knows, you can let me know. I'm willing to extend all options. I will say an update is I have put in a formal request now, because it's finally got to where it's if you go on the website again, it's called outside normal processing times. So
Okay.
I was able to put in a request to say this process is taken outside of normal processing time. So they have a opportunity to fix it. Maybe they might get it done, but I'm not quite sure.
And so what is that process intended to do? Is it intended to get them to say, hey, what's going on here? Let's hurry up. Or, does it even say like what it's supposed to do when you do that?
It basically just you being, doing your due diligence to let them know that, hey, I do realize this is outside the normal processing time. What are y'all doing? You know what I mean? Because the dates on the website say somewhere between 90% of all cases will be finished or completed by the date filed. Okay, so whatever date, when you go on there and check it, if you want to, right? The date that they have on there, let's say if it says June 18th, 2020, that means that 90% of cases that were filed on or before June 20th, 2020 have already been processed. So if your date is before that, then that's when you can put that paperwork in. But once again, they said they'll give me a response. I should have my response by May 7th. And I put them in maybe about a week and a half ago. So it's about a 2 to 3 week turnaround for that, and just to get a response.
Well, and did they give you an idea of what the response would be? Is it just going to be, oh, we're still in the process, or, we're going to expedite it? Or did they even say, I mean, what they'll be telling you, what information they'll be giving you?
No, it's extremely vague. Like it just basically says like it's in process. That's all we know. They received the information, it's being processed. It's not in review, it's not on somebody's desk, it's just in process. But they would say like the last update took place in 2020. So we haven't had any update to the case in 2021. I think it was June 2020 was the last update we had on the case, but that was basically just the acknowledgement.
Wow. So what has happened? Like, have there been times where you tried to kind of escalate it, see if you can speak with a manager or somebody higher up? How did that work out?
Yeah, I mean, that was what I kind of did with the emergency petition. I even, because they had a little partner on the military, but the only thing was I wasn't necessarily actively serving, so then it wasn't like I guess I was less of a priority then. But yeah, I try to speak to like a manager or somebody over them. It doesn't really matter, because you got to understand the way these things work. When you send your paperwork, they go to a lockbox, whether physical or digital, and your information just sits there. I don't have an idea whether anybody has even looked to see if the information is incorrect, and I have to make changes, or there's something that I did that was wrong. So it could be a situation where I could be waiting 2 years. All my information, I filled out the paperwork. It was my error. I filled out the paperwork wrong. I got to wait 2 years to find out whether or not I did it properly. And then I got to go back and fix it. And I shouldn't have to wait 2 years again, but it could be another wait because maybe I filled out something wrong. What I'm saying is, it's just like putting it in a, what else they call it, a PO box. It's just sitting there. And if nobody goes and checks their PO box, you're not going to know whether or not you have anything in there. So it's just, in my opinion, I believe it's just still sitting there. I don't even know if anybody's taking a look at it.
God, okay. Wow. I mean, I'm just trying to figure out what I'm missing here. Like, what? But I'm probably not missing anything. The government is just incompetent. And it's making me wonder how many people this has happened to. It's probably happened to a lot.
Well, but the bottom line is, a lot of people say the immigration system is broken, but they only focus on one side of it. It's fine to say, oh man, illegals are coming over here and taking my jobs. Okay, that's fine. Okay, we can have that discussion, but the side of it that never is discussed is when even Trump was like, I'm pro legal immigration. Okay, I'm not even saying it was President Trump's job, because immigration is an impossible thing. The same way, I think, wasn't it Reagan that granted immunity to a whole bunch of illegal immigrants back in the 80s, I believe, and it still didn't get fixed. The problem with the system is, and I believe the system, and this is just my opinion, and a lot of people might disagree with me, but when it comes to immigration, my solution is a lot simpler than a lot of people. I'm not for let the people in, just just an unfiltered number. I'm for allow the people in, but we got to make sure we get some documentation on you. That's the way I feel like it will be a lot quicker. You know what I mean? Like, because a lot of people, I mean, it's a very, and I'm just gonna be honest, it's a very racist view when I hear some people say like this term, like, who else is gonna pick the fruit? Cool. If we gonna understand that, you know what? Put them people here on an agriculture visa. You say you can work 2 years in the agricultural field, pick the fruit, right? It also is going to grant what? Number one, they're going to pay taxes. It'll protect them from being abused, because now they don't have to worry about the job that they're working for, trying to do some shape like, well, you ain't got no paperwork. I don't have to pay you. Or I think I know you talked to Eliza Blue.
Yep, that's exactly.
I believe something that's happening a lot of times is these illegal immigrants are coming here and they're having to do probably illegal sexual activities to try to maintain their jobs and to keep their status. So if we allow people just to come over here and say, okay, look, you gonna pick the fruit. Let's go ahead, and I don't care how it sound, you get an agriculture visa. You gonna pick the fruit, cool. You gonna pay taxes, right? It's something that can be renewed. Okay, so it can be renewed like once every 2 years. But the goal of it is to keep tabs of you while you're here. And once you make all your money or you don't want to pick fruit no more, guess what? You go on back. And people say, well, they'd already be here, blah, 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 blah. I said, look. The system is broken. So you got to try to find some solution to the thing, because I say we have visas for everything else. We got visas if you're a singer, an actor. We got work visas. We have all these other different, we got them for diplomats, school, travel. You know, they got like the limited ones, but it's just like we've got to try to find a solution to it, because the bottom line is America has something that the world wants. And as long as it continues to be that way, just trying to, oh, well, we got to, you know, I remember the whole Trump thing, build the wall. That's fine. But guess what? Banks get broken into. So don't assume that the country, even with a huge wall that went across the entire southern border, they're going to find a way around it. And what a lot of people do is they fly. That's what a lot of people don't realize.
That's how most people get
here. Who are here illegally, they flew in. They didn't come across the southern border. They flew in. They overstayed their visa. Their visas expired, and then they just stay here. So people will find a way around it. They can try to find it. And I'm saying something is better than nothing. You know, if we get 2 years out of tax money out of them, that's better than none. You know what I mean? Because it's like they're coming. They're coming here, and I think you can charge them for it however you feel you need to do it. But I feel like there are ways around immigration that people don't want to discuss and people don't want to talk about. But I'm like, the major focus is only on the illegal side. We don't talk about how ridiculous the legal side is, because, like, for example, my sister is also involved in, you know, because her husband is from Jamaica. Okay. So it's like we both understand like the struggles of going through it, because it's a lot of paperwork, it's a lot of money, and it's just a lot of like runaround just to honestly just be here and live your life. We're not talking about doing anything excessive. We're talking about, when you talk about the American dream, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, that's it. Nobody's asking for anything. Nobody, I ain't on no public assistance. My brother-in-law ain't nobody's personal public assistance. We're not taking up nothing in the system. He pay taxes. She works. She has a work visa that she used. She pay taxes. So it's like we not taking up nobody's system, nobody's money. Now, understand that doesn't apply to everybody, but the bottom line is it just seems really, really bad to me that you have people that try to do things the right way, and then you're looking all around
and you're getting punished for it.
You're getting punished for it, and you look all around, and everybody seems to only care about one section of immigration. And I'm like, I'm sure there's plenty of people that are dealing with the same thing, because if you go on the site, you'll see how long it takes. Some of this stuff is still getting processed. I can't remember which center it was, but one of these centers is extremely so. I saw dates from 2017. Some people are waiting 4 years to get this paperwork processed. I don't know which one it was. I want to say it might have been Vermont. So I don't know who's up there in Vermont, but y'all need to tighten up on that, because there's no way it should be taking 4 years to process like 4 or 5 sheets of paper.
Now let me ask you this. I mean, because I think I've heard of other people going this route, but have you thought about calling your congressman? I don't know who represents your district, but
Well, the whole calling my congressman thing, I thought about it, and I even thought about pulling some strings with some of the air quote people that I know politically, I guess. But the bottom line is, it's not an election year. It's nothing really that they can do, because we're talking about, we're now in the bureaucracy, right? It would almost be like me calling my congressman to fix an IRS tax issue. We're talking about that bureaucracy that exists within America that we have issues with, the IRS, immigration services. You could even look at like your school board. If you got a problem with your school, it's going to be that same type of bureaucracy that you're going to get caught up in. They don't really have no issue. The only person that can really do something would be like, I mean, you could do like the president. That's about it. The president could go ahead and make it happen. But outside of the president, no. I will admit, my congressman is a Democrat, David Scott, 12th district in Georgia. So no, I haven't contacted him. I haven't contacted my local representative, mayor, nobody like that. But I'll just be honest. I don't think it would help. I'm not saying that it couldn't. It's just like, we had these conversations about how inefficient the government is. So it's a situation where when I see how they talk and I see how they move, and if I said, hey, my daughter's stuck in the detention, my stepdaughter's stuck in the detention center right outside of El Paso, I think that gets motion. If I say, hey, I filed the paperwork, but it's taken, in my opinion, way too long. Is there anything you can do? I don't know if I'm gonna get that same push, but who knows? Maybe they could help, and I'm just missing out because I don't believe in. But it's just like,
it's worth a shot at least. But at the same time, I mean, I understand where you're coming from. I mean, because
but that's what I'm trying to say. It's like, we talking about an email. I mean, do I just write an email? Do I write a letter? It just seems even more inefficient. I seem like I can get more work done by dealing directly with the people who can actually fix it. But who knows? Maybe if the politicians brought some fire or some heat to it, then maybe they might move a little quicker. I don't know. But the bottom line is, let's just take 1980, 41 years.
Right.
When have you ever heard politicians give legal immigration the time of day, or the media?
Not a lot. Not a lot. Very little.
We know about the border separation. We know about the caravans when they come. We know about the people taking their jobs, the people being afraid of ICE, what it's like to live here if you don't have paperwork. We've seen all these stories, but I have yet to see anything really. I haven't seen a 2020 or a Dateline or anything about, hey, we did things the right way and this is our story. Never seen it. So that's just the whole point that I'm saying. I've never seen people doing the right thing get a lot of get a lot of attention. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I do see them used as pawns a lot. I mean, but I mean, I don't see that people are really, and I think that people who talk about them aren't necessarily trying to use them as pawns. I just think that when it comes to our politicians, they're not focused on it because we're not making them be focused on it. And our commentators aren't making them be focused on it. Nobody's holding their feet to the fire. Yeah, we need to deal with the stuff at the border, definitely. Like I said at the beginning, we have to deal with that. But we need to fix this situation because, like I said, you're going through it, which means that other people are too. And there's no reason why kids shouldn't be given some type of special allowance, especially when it's a married couple, a veteran, a teacher. Like this doesn't make sense. Now, you did post a video on Twitter where your wife got to see your kids for a little bit, right? Or you can explain that.
Yeah. So you saw the video on Twitter. She's down there actually right now because what happened was there was a form that you do. It's called an I-485, which is a readjustment of status, and that's where you apply to get your green card. But during that time period, there's also a it's called I think it's called a I-130, which is either a right to travel and a work permit. But the bottom line is they give you a work permit and they allow you to work and you can pay Social Security number, all the rest of that stuff. So what happened was the right to travel actually came on the same card. They combined it. because what it is called, it's called like advanced parole is what it's called. While you're waiting on your green card, you really can't travel. You know what I mean? Unless you get this permission called advanced parole. And if you're on advanced parole, you can use that to travel. And I think it's only good for like a year at a time. What I didn't realize is that it was on the same document. Like normally you get a work card is one, and then the advanced parole is a second card. But this time they combine them on the one card because she filed them at the same time. So she finally got a chance to see her children after 2 years. So she's down there with them right now. Okay. But yeah, so she did get a chance to go down there. And that paperwork was something, you know, like it's a situation where, yeah, she can go down there. But the bottom line is if you want to try to look at that family dynamic, it's still going to be difficult trying, even if she wants to stay down there for an extended period of time, she's going to have to come back. You know, because she can't stay down there for an indefinite amount of time.
Yeah, it's a Band-Aid. It's not a permanent solution. Her and the kids belong here with you. I mean,
it's a pretty simple thing, but it's like, once again, and the other thing about this weird to me is the same system, right, that approved her to travel. Why can't that same system work the exact same way for her to bring her children back? You understand what I'm saying? It should almost be a situation where I get the whole visa process. I do. But if somebody is allowed to travel and that person has already had kids who are in, like they have alien numbers, right? They have their alien identification numbers, but they still can't get back inside the country. So they have a way to be tracked, a way to get enrolled in school and all the rest of that stuff. But the weird part about it to me is, if you allow the mother to travel, the mother is the legal guardian. It's like, imagine if, and this is something that you would think about. Let's just say, for example, Jeff, you know, you said you want to go back to Africa, man, and you went back to Africa, and let's say, you know, yeah, you went back to Africa just for, you know, no, I'm not talking about just like a vacation, man. You wanted to go see the motherland, and you know, you end up meeting a young lady out there, man. You met your little queen, and you know, 9 months later, man, it's a little Jeffrey. A Jeffrey Untunde walking around Nigeria, right? So Jeffrey Untunde is walking around Nigeria, right? And you like, oh man, I have a son. This is great. You can't go get him. You cannot go get your son. That's you on the birth certificate. You the American citizen. You cannot just go over there and get your son. You have to go through the entire process, get the paperwork put on him because he was not born here, even though his father is an American. You couldn't go over there and get your son.
See, and I never even knew it worked that way. I had no idea. I'm ignorant about some of this stuff. Like I figured, you know, if somebody marries an American citizen, then I know they don't become citizens, but they, you know, they do whatever they do to be able to stay here, and being married to an American citizen has that benefit. Right. I would just assume that the kids would just come with that. Like, why wouldn't that be the case?
It's a separate, well, number one, it's a separate fee and it's a whole separate process. You understand what I'm saying? But I think that's crazy that if the father is a citizen, the father can't, or even, you know, you can't bring your own child home to your own country without paperwork. I think that's something that the immigration system needs to look at, because it doesn't make a lot of sense. Now, some people would say, I don't even know who would even have a problem with that. But if that's your child, and you know, let's say even say you ain't got a DNA test to prove it,
right? Why
shouldn't you? Don't matter if you made a baby in every country around the world. Why can't you go get your child?
Yeah,
that is your child. You understand what I'm saying? Why should I have to go get a visa to bring a baby over here? You understand? And it's my baby. It's my DNA running through that baby. That doesn't even make any sense. You understand? So that's the part that I'm just looking at. Like, this is extremely ridiculous to me, and it's one of those loopholes in the American, you know, system. You should only have to prove that is your child.
Right.
Your name's on the birth certificate. You're good. Go grab your child. But you can't, you know, if you make a baby in another country, you still got to put him through the immigrant. He's still going to be considered an immigrant. I get it, because he's not born in America, but
But make it easier to bring them over here. I mean, there's no reason why we shouldn't do that. It could be so simple, and they just make it so hard. But we do have a super chat here from Dr. Nikki. What's up, Queen?
What's up, Nikki?
Yeah, she says, call the office, Saul G. It's their job. You have a podcast and a large following. Use it.
Yeah, well, once again, as far as calling the office, I will say I have called the office. To be honest, I gotta remember. No, I still haven't sent the letter, but I did send an email asking was there anything I could do, but I haven't heard anything back from the email. So I haven't sent like a physical letter. But that's the one thing that I've been trying to do, to reach out. You know, even when Trump was in office, man, you know, the wife was with, you know, does anybody need a you know, we was ready to, you know what I mean? Call it what you want. We was ready to go. She was ready to put the MAGA hat on and you know, say, hey, look, you know, I'll say immigrants for Trump or whatever you need me to say if you can bring my kids over here. We've been ready. You understand what I'm saying? But it was like, go ahead.
She meant your representative.
Yeah, see, that's the thing though. I have because if you go on the David Scott website, it does have like a link on there where you can get in contact with his office. But the bottom line is, I tried to get in contact with his office. It wasn't about this. It was about something else a couple of years ago, and I never heard anything back. So I'm skeptical, but you know, it can't hurt. So I will, as soon as we finish this podcast tonight, I will promise that I will go to David Scott's website and I will send him a letter tonight. So I will do that because it can't hurt.
I mean, it's something that we don't always think about. Like we don't always think about contacting our congressman, and I'm sure in a lot of times it's useless, but you never know. But I mean,
shot in the dark, you know.
Yeah. But I mean, you've obviously been trying and exhausting all of your different options to try to expedite this. The bottom line is that the way it's set up sucks, and we're not doing anything to fix it. So we're almost out of time here, but I wanted to ask just your opinion. Okay. I mean, and this is regardless of Republican or Democrat, because they're both complicit. Why do you think that? I mean, you mentioned it since, you know, over the past few decades, nobody's really talked about this issue. Nobody's been pushing for that. Why do you think that is?
Well, because it's not a divisive issue, right? You got to think about it like this. The country is built on divide. Politics are built on divide. So illegal immigration is something because people can just say, oh, they're just trying to come here to better their families. Oh, they're escaping these horrible conditions, blah, blah, blah. It's something very simple. If you sat there, because like it's almost like somebody saying, why has there never been a discussion about passports, right? Because you're legally leaving the country with the exact paperwork that you need to enter into another country. So nobody's really worried about it. And somebody can say, well, why does it take so long to get a passport? It's just like, well, it's just a system that we have in place. The same way it used to take a long time to be at the DMV. So it's not about Democrat or Republican for me. It's about, I don't believe America wants bipartisanship. I don't think America wants people to actually work together and come together on something that we can agree on. Because if it's something that we can agree on, to me, it's not that big of an issue. So I feel like they'll say, well, this is just a part of the process and this is the way it is. But I'm sitting there saying, well, this same process, I'll keep bringing it up. It allows the baseball player to enter the country pretty quickly. You're not more concerned about a 19-year-old baseball player getting handed $1 million. Now, I'm not going to even try to make them seem bad and talk about some of the extreme cases where, you know, some of these guys have come over here and done some pretty bad stuff, but that's against the point. The bottom line is, if you can have a grown man who's going to have access to millions of dollars come over here and you vetted them in a week, what would you expect a 6 or 8-year-old? I'm at least saying under 12. If you're not a teenager yet, under 12, it is it's almost like it should almost be automatic. If you're under 12, it should almost be an automatic process. If your people are trying to do it the legal way, it is no way this process should take that long. If, let's say, for example, I think she wants to bring her mom over here. I don't know about that one, but we're going to wait. See, your mom's cool. Shout out to Bienvenida over there. I love you, baby. But
yeah, you're about to be on the couch.
Yeah, I mean, if it took 2 years for her mom, I get it. Her mom's lived her life. Right. You got to check. You got to investigate. I get it. But 6 and 8-year-olds, man, they're innocent. They don't even know nothing about the process. And it's so sad to me when they call and they talk to me and they're like, is my paperwork ready? That is so like, that's a disgusting thing to think about. Like, you got a 6 and an 8-year-old even asking about like paperwork. We ready to go. We ready to go. Is my paperwork ready? They know at 8 years, the only reason why we're separated is because of paperwork. And I think that's just a jacked up situation.
It is. It's obscene. I got another super chat here. Dr. Nikki again. Everyone needs to call their representatives more often on every issue you think is important. I do it. My state legislator has my cell number. That is not surprising. And you know what? That is 1,000% correct. And I'm going to apply it to myself. I need to get better at that too, because
I'm hitting myself on the head.
But just in general, I mean, we do, because here's the thing. That not a lot of people call their congressman, and I've heard from people who served under congressmen, those issues get attention because if they even get a few of them, because they figure, well, if this many people felt strong enough to call me about it, how many other people feel strongly about it and they're not saying anything? So I need to address this issue because I don't want to get voted out. So
I mean, I'm gonna hit him up. Like I said, I mean, I ain't gonna lie, I voted for the dude. So I mean, it ain't like I ain't gonna say I'm a supporter, but I did vote for him. So I'm like, you kind of owe me. But like I said, I am going to. I'm just, you know how I am, man. You know, I'm just so, and I know sometimes I'm dealing with the government, but sometimes I'm so anti-government. I'm just like, God, there's got to be a better solution. But dealing with immigration,
don't blame you.
You can't really work outside the system as you want. It's like once they're here, okay, now we can get off the grid. But it's like, you know what I mean? For right now, you gotta play by their rules. So I would just say that.
Right. Okay. So is there anything that I didn't ask you about that you want to address before we sign off? Or
the only thing I would just tell people is like a lot of people, a lot of times, man, we put a lot of attention and we put a lot of energy in things that I feel are not important, right? Like, and so many things, right? We always focus on the negative. We always focus on the bad. Like, for example, we got a problem with police in this country. Everybody wants to only focus on them couple of officers, right, that are doing these bad things. Nobody talks about the officer that's on the side of the road changing the tire. Nobody talks about the officer, you understand what I'm saying, who told me like, hey, yo, I heard your truck had an air leak, man. You might want to look at that. You know what I mean? Nobody wants to talk about positive things. And people, I'm not necessarily saying I don't need no pat on the back. I don't want nobody feeling sorry for me. I don't need any of that. All I'm saying is there are positive stories that you can focus on and that you can shed light on instead of just always bringing more negativity to negative situations. The police, illegal immigrants, I get it. But at the end of the day, you got to realize, go on that website, go on to uscis.gov and see how many people are trying to do it the legal way and nobody never hears their story. Because I'm pretty sure mine ain't the only story. You know what I mean? So it's just, all I would have to say is people, you know, man, try to look at things just a little bit of different perspective. That's the reason why I like this show called A Fresh Perspective, because you got to start trying to look at things from a different angle, because once again, you called it fake news for a reason. If you're a Christian, you know who the Lord of the Airways is. So if you believe in all those different types of things, a situation where it's like we shouldn't be pushing and believing and giving the media what they want. We should be able to start to get good, positive stories out there where it's just a good, feel-good story where somebody did something the right way and it happened. You understand what I'm saying? That would be something that would be all I had to say. But as far as anything that we didn't cover, no, we pretty much got it all. Okay, good. And just really quick, Dr. Nick again, she's gonna check and make sure you did, and you know she will. I'm about to, like I said, as soon as we finish here, I'm gonna type it up and I will post my my confirmation that I got after I did it. So I promise you, I'm gonna write them as soon as I get off. I gotta, you know, the little one who's with me right now, Mr. Kobe, has been acting up during this podcast. I don't know if y'all can hear him crying in the background, but
I don't know, I can hear.
Okay, great. I'm glad my mic didn't pick that up. But if you heard somebody crying in the background, that was my dog, because the missus is down there. So I am on dog duty. So I think it's time for him to go out. But it's all good. So I will definitely hit him up. Go ahead. Yeah, and before we go, let everybody know where they can reach you. Yeah. So if you. My timeline, I ain't gonna lie, I used to be a lot tougher on politics. I've kind of moved into more memes and just try to be a little bit, this is some funny things at the time. I get into politics and racism every now and then, but I try not to fill my entire timeline with it. But if you want to, if you want a little different than stuff, comic book, sports, and from now and then, You can follow me, 50 Shades of Soul G, on Twitter. I have my own website because I'm not allowed to be on the platform that I'm speaking on right now on my own. But I do have my own platform. It's called LibreTV.co. It's free. You know what I mean? It has whatever you want there. It has a timeline just like Twitter. Eligible people can go live and do live streaming and podcasts. But all of my podcasts are up there. Brown Paper Bag Podcast, Purple Pill Politics, The Kamikaze Show, The Pollywood Podcast, Critical Inception, Aquarian Anarchy, Sunday Good News, and the Corrected Felon Podcast. So all of those are podcasts that are on there. We got some new people coming. Hopefully I might be able to release some pretty big names are coming soon because they want to do some unedited content that this platform won't allow them to say and allow them to do. Right. So I'm going to try to do that. And I'm also going to try to host some of these debates that I've been seeing on Twitter lately, that way we don't have to worry about, nothing happening to it. But yeah, so follow me at LibreTV.co or on IG. You can follow me at my personal one is the 404 Club, or you can follow the entire Libre Network at the Libre Network. So that's where I am. If you want to email me and you got some information for me, SolomonGraham@yahoo.com.
Beautiful. Well, thanks for joining me, brother. So I really appreciate it. And I appreciate everybody for coming and taking a listen. But until next time, keep your minds free.